So I thought
All
we could
right.
try something a little different today.
Oh, okay. Because we after one time we're gonna change it.
Yeah, we could just see
Okay.
how it goes. I was
Okay.
thinking maybe we could talk first about what we remember about the thing
Okay.
and then do like the intro and the banter and then hop in. But maybe talking about it and then doing intro and banter doesn't make sense. What do you think?
Um, I think banter and then intro and then I don't know. I mean, I don't think it matters. I think let's just give it a whirl and we'll get feedback from our three listeners. Anyways,
Hey,
hey, do you want to do the intro?
yeah, let's do the intro. All right, are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
We're gonna try to make it flow.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready to try.
Hello, and welcome to the I Love You But podcast. I'm Heather, and this is my sister.
Ryan, same song. I don't know if it's ever gonna sound flowy when we break it up, like you know what I mean? Like when we
Well,
do
I
like
don't, it's weird. It's like you think you sound edit like Christopher Columbus directs. It's just like this
You mean badly?
long, unnecessary pause. Like,
Oh, I like pauses, yeah.
yeah,
I
there's no
pause
reason.
I
Like, if I
pause for
say,
emphasis. Emphasis.
hello, and welcome to the I Love You But podcast. I'm Heather, and this is my sister. And you should be able to just say Ryan, like immediately.
Can
Like,
you
I
say
should say,
Ryan? I think it would be easier if you said
no,
Ryan.
because the whole point with podcasts is people don't know who we are. And so
Oh,
we
okay.
have to say our names in our own voices. Otherwise, it's confusing. Do you want me to say your name though? Since you find it very awkward. Have you ever listened to a podcast? Like, you might want to do some homework before we really launch this thing. It
I've
might be
listened to lots
helpful.
of one podcast. I've listened to podcasts. I used to listen
All
to them all the
right.
time before.
Hello, and welcome to the I Love You But podcast. I'm Heather, and this is my sister.
Ryan, each week we'll revisit relics of our childhood using our multiple master's degrees.
To critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us.
Sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back on our past to say, I love you,
Icons
but.
8 Music. Icons 8 Music.
I love you, but.
So what'd you waste time on this week?
So this week I wasted time on creating labels for Elliot's boxes of toys in Canva and printing them out at work. So and then I bought a laminator and then I laminated them at home and it made me so happy to like laminate things at home, and now I want to organize and laminate my entire life.
The good part about that story is that you did a thing and then you did the next thing and then you did the next thing. So the question is, now that they're laminated, are the labels on the boxes?
No, because I know that it sounds like I did a thing and then I did a thing and then I did a thing, but I did a thing like over the course of 2 weeks. So like I started the labels and then I finished the labels and then I printed the labels and then I left the labels at work and then I brought them home and then it took me a few days to get the laminator out and then I finally laminated them last night, and then today I cut them out and then I went to Target and bought the like Velcro sticky things to stick them on the boxes. So tomorrow, check back in with me tomorrow and you will find me an organized woman.
I like it.
So
Apparently
yeah.
your life is also directed by Christopher Columbus. There's all these unnecessary pauses between things.
It's
Ah,
not like there's nothing happening in the pauses,
I love you.
but
So
how did you waste time this week, Heather?
Hey, in addition to continuing my over reading of historical steamy romance novels through my library e-reader app,
Uh,
I know it's been a whole thing.
mm.
I also dove back in to the Bake Off professionals, the professionals, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so, like, part of me likes it because, yay, yummy food, right? And they're English, so they're all kind of cute and charming and whatever.
Mm.
But I realize that I don't like it because I feel like the showstoppers are just way too stressful. And I know it makes good TV, right? Like, it shouldn't be achievable or it would not be good television. But
Does it
they
just
end up
make you anxious?
making things that look like other things, and I'm like, "You know what, though? What if you just had a centerpiece made out of the things it's supposed to be made out of, and then just made really good cake and patisserie to go with it?"
Did you watch the show, the Is It Cake show?
No, I don't know, I'm okay with cake just being cake, you know? And, like,
Yeah.
watching people tell me how good it tastes, like, that's the part I like. And thinking, "I could make that sometime," and then laughing at myself knowing that I'm never gonna make that sometime, but, you know.
Well, it's also very entertaining to watch people make cake 'cause it looks terrible and also tastes terrible, and watching people tell them how terrible it tastes.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that either. I think maybe because
No.
I had a rough week at work, and
Oh,
so I
okay.
think I was feeling particularly empathetic with the
With
pastry
people.
chef last night. I was like, "They tried really hard. Quit being mean to," but I did
Well, I'm
try to
talking
take.
about Nailed It, where they win money for being shitty at things.
Well, no, I don't watch that either.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
this isn't a show about what we don't watch. This is a show about stuff we used to watch. This week, we're going to
Mhm.
talk about the now PG, but when originally released, PG-13,
Oh my god.
Christopher Columbus directorial debut, Adventures in
Really?
Babysitting. Yep.
I didn't realize that was his directorial debut. It makes sense because he's like,
He wrote Gremlins and some other stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
so, one sentence synopsis: a girl gets lied to by her fuckboy boyfriend and then ends up babysitting and then nearly killing the kids because she sneaks them into Chicago. The end. I, I don't
Multiple
even
times.
know, like, who was this movie made for? Like, what
I
what do you remember
yeah.
about it? Let's back up. What do you
Yeah, I
remember
was
about
gonna
it?
that's why I was pausing. I was like, wait, are we gonna
Yeah.
talk about what we remembered before we started watching
Yeah,
it?
let's do the thing. Tell me what you
Okay.
remember.
I mean, obviously the most there's two very iconic things about this movie, and both of them are songs.
Yeah.
And they're very wildly different, right? So there's the opening song, I'm not allowed to sing because we'll get sued. But I do remember that whole opening thing where she's singing along to the song about being in love while she gets ready for her date. And then when they get happen upon the blues club and have to sing the blues. So those are two like kind of, and then other things I just wrote down like Thor, pimple cream being used as paint,
You remembered
get
that?
out of my house. Kind of buy a hot dog with like a check that had already been signed over once and signing it over. Knife in the toe of some loafers, hot college guy, BB King or am I racist? Yes, was the answer to
Racist.
that. It was not BB King. I am racist. Um, Bad guys, but I didn't remember what they wanted. So
That's good.
that's all my memories.
Here's my quick list. I feel like we were going to see it with daycare at a movie theater, but they said we couldn't because it was PG-13. And I remember really wanting to see this movie. So I guess maybe this movie was for 12-year-olds or 10-year-olds or something. I don't know. I remember
But
that the little girl loved Thor, and I had no idea who Thor was.
no, yeah. No idea.
And I will say right now, I know that seems like an impossible thing to not know who Thor is, but
Yeah,
we didn't grow up reading comic books, so I had
no.
no, and obviously though I did read Shakespeare at an early age. I did not grow up reading Norse mythology, so I didn't know who the fuck
No.
Thor was. Yeah. I just
Like, I
knew that
kinda
little
almost thought they
girl.
made him up, like, for the movie.
Yeah, maybe. And then but then, like, that little girl was cooler than me. I knew that because she knew who Thor
Yeah,
was and I didn't. I have in my mind a coat and a scarf. I now know why. I
yeah.
remember the hot dog with the check and feeling anxiety on her behalf. I also, adjacent memory, real life, remember one time writing a check for 74 cents to Payless Video
For what? It was
to
74
rent
cents.
because it was 69 cents for like a one night rental and there was tax. So it
Oh
was
my
74
god.
cents. And the guy was so mad at me, but I was like, I have no cash. So I
Why
was the
didn't you just
original.
rent other movies?
I didn't want other movies. It was one night. You watch it and then you go back and you get another one.
Yeah, but
Like
they have, like, oh my god.
what if I didn't have time to watch what I knew I had time to watch the one thing. Like
You could
why
have at
couldn't they
least
just
rented 2 for, like, $1.50 and made
no,
it, like, at least somewhat more.
no.
Wow, that's, like, something I would do.
It's not like I wrote a hot check. I just wrote a check.
Well, that's
74
definitely
cents.
something I've done.
I remember the opening song. And I remember even having a feeling that maybe that song was too good for the movie. Like, it seemed like a concept that was like, it should be part of a different movie. And
Yeah.
then, of course, I remember the blues singing and always just feeling kind of cringy about that whole thing, but not really understanding why I thought it was cringy. So that's it. That's what I remember. I have a lot of thoughts now. Um, Um, First of all, how the
Yeah,
hell did I not know that that man was a fuckboy? I mean, he was dropping fuckboy red flags left and right.
yes.
His license plate says so cool.
Okay,
He
okay.
honked when he got there. Yes.
Fun fact, right?
Yeah.
I found this in doing research because I did actually do some research. I didn't just watch it and write down my thoughts this time.
Yeah.
That car, that Camaro, was that actor's actual car and his actual license plate.
No.
Yes, according to IMDb.
You just
Yeah.
ruined Bradley Whitford for me for life.
I,
Those dimples. You ruined
apparently
him.
Bradley, was not was a bit of a fuckboy in 1987. So
I can't. All right. Well, fuck him. Um I
I mean,
like
he is
literally like
welcome to come on our podcast and set the record straight, but according to IMDb,
yeah. I was like,
yeah.
he looks like he's about 15 years older than she does.
Okay, no, but
He
like, can we? Okay, okay, so go
oh
ahead.
yeah, no, she also does not look 17.
Yeah, no, she was 20 fucking 4. Like, and I feel like that is so, like, common of all of the shit we watched as kids. Because I remember feeling like, man, I'm gonna feel so grown up when I'm in high school, right? Because we're watching all these movies, and
No. I
all of these teenagers were like in their 20s. They were
I
not
just
fucking kids.
I disagree because I feel like at least with the John Hughes movies, they were teenagers. They were
There's
legit.
no, they were not.
Yes. Yes, look it up. Molly Ringwald just looked very mature, but she was a teenager when she made those movies. She was. Legit. And you know Anthony Michael Hall was a little baby because look what he grew into.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know. But like,
But
I was
then
just
I feel
saying,
like in the 90s and the 2000s, for sure, it was all of a sudden 24-year-olds were playing all the 17-year-olds.
I don't know. I disagree. I mean, I'll look it up, but I just, yeah.
I
Like,
felt like it was just like a lot
I
of
just feel
makeup.
like all these high school, like these movies we watched about high school, like they all just seem like so grown up and like so mature and like so adult. And that, like, I was like, oh, when I'm gonna get to high school, I'm gonna feel so mature and like I still don't. Like, I sure as shit did. Like,
Well, I just remember like I always wanted to be a teenager. Like ever since I understood the
yeah,
concept of teenager, like that was the only like I, because of church, like mom and dad did all the religious education. 'cause we're always hanging out with teenagers when we were way too
Yeah.
young to be hanging out with them. They were always saying dodgy shit to us that they shouldn't be saying, but, like, I just remember, like, this is cool and I want to be this. And then when I finally got there, it was like, "Oh, no, this is just like being a kid." Like, this is awful. Why was I excited about this? And I mean, I know why I was excited is because these movies and books and everything else was like
Yeah.
teenager in the '80s was like the height of anything that you could possibly be. Because like, you didn't wanna be the parents, like, wearing their
No,
fucking,
no, the
like,
parents
Dillard's
suck.
rhinestone gowns and shit, like,
Oh god, like fucking
making
wow.
bad jokes and, like, you
Oh
did not wanna
man,
be
going to
them, and then the kids
yeah,
were all just, like, annoying, so you didn't wanna be
annoying as
them.
hell. Yeah.
So then it was just, like, these teenagers that were just kind of effortlessly cool, and that's, like, who you
Mhm.
really wanted to be. Looking back, not so much. I will say I did
Yeah.
enjoy, that first scene when they're talking about why she won't babysit, and she did say, "Because I wanna stay home and be depressed." It was like, "Oh, yeah, me too."
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we talk
I
about
like
zits?
yeah, we can talk about this. I do like the foreshadowing though of like when she goes down the stairs before fuckboy's like, "Hey, I'm an asshole." And she says, "Tonight is gonna be the greatest night of my life." Or something like that. Like, he goes like, "Okay, well that's fun." I also can I just say I really appreciate Brenda talking about spiking her stepmom's tab with Drano, which
I was
is
really
just
excited when I heard tab.
yes, yes,
That was
yeah,
definitely a staple of our childhood. Not us,
yes,
mom. That was mom.
yes, mom, the tab lady. Yeah, we can
So
talk about zits.
let's talk about zits because that's like the worst problem these white kids have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also like I want to know like I think all these kids were so rich too in all these movies that I mean except like Pretty in Pink, right?
Well,
But like
half the kids were rich.
well yeah, okay, yeah. So there's like all these like fantastically rich kids living in these giant ass houses.
I
It's
mean, I
just
think it was
like
just a bunch of dudes coming out of the suburbs of Chicago writing about what they know, which was the
yeah,
rich white suburbs of Chicago. Like,
yeah. No,
it's
I
where they
guess
grew
that's
up,
true
it's what
because
they
John
knew.
Hughes was also like
Yeah.
Chicago. Yeah, no, I'm wondering if like this movie is the reason that I grew up thinking that chocolate caused you to have zits.
You thought chocolate caused zits?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, in the movie, the mom's like, "Stop eating chocolate. You got all these zits on your face." Like, yeah, no, like I thought that chocolate caused zits. I'm gonna think
I
it's
mi
like the only thing, but
I might have thought that too, I don't know. I just remember watching, like, the Noxzema commercials and stuff, and I mean, I get it now because it's whatever, but like, it made me so mad because these girls would just put, like, a gallon of water in their hands and then throw it up at their face, and then it would cut, and it would just be, like, only on their face, there would be no water all over the sink,
all over the
no
bathroom.
water all the way down the front of their shirt, like,
Yeah,
that is the lie that they sold me as far as I'm concerned. I don't even care. I mean, we're very lucky, we have very nice skin, some of our other genes are very
right.
questionable, but
Yeah.
we're very
So you
lucky
never
to have
took a
nice skin.
physics class that cued you into the fact that water doesn't work that way?
No, I took a real life, "I'm gonna try to splash my face this way" test and ended up with water
Everybody did.
everywhere, and it was like,
Yeah.
"These ads are bullshit," and then I thought, "Well, maybe there's, like, a special way that they, like, hold the water?" Like, because I didn't understand editing, I don't know, but I
I mean,
just
it was
remember
like we also
being
all tried to pee standing up. It's the same thing. Like we all did it.
That's true, that's
And
true.
we all failed miserably, right? Like even
Yeah.
now I still don't know how to wash my face without getting water everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, if there's anyone listening to this and if the answer is you just use a washcloth, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. That's the
I
answer.
just wash my face in the shower now.
If I can't do it in the shower, it's not part of my skincare routine. That's just a fact. Period.
Yeah, no, like there's no like extra like doing a mud mask and I'm like, how am I like I'm just well, how am I getting this off my face? This is just making a huge mess.
No. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't pee in the shower. I think that's gross. If you do it, that's fine. That's not my thing. But yeah, if it's going to be a skincare routine,
Or not.
why are you making that face? You know people do
Well,
that,
it's not
right?
yeah, no, I was trying to think whether or not I I do it.
Do it on purpose or accident?
What?
Okay, so before we get
Probably do. I don't know.
before we get out of the suburbs, we need to talk about the redheaded sex pest.
The redheaded sex test?
Pest. Pest.
Oh, you mean if Scott Farkus and Ron Weasley had a baby?
Yes, that's what I mean. That kid. I could not with that kid. I just couldn't.
Oh, Daryl. Yeah, I hated him for most of the movie.
I mean, he had a couple of moments where he was not terrible,
Yeah.
but the only of all the I made a lot of notes. I got to tell you, I'm not going to go through all this. It's not worth it. But
Yeah.
um, I did have a thought though, and uh, I feel like a lot of people worked on this movie, so maybe this was in there somewhere. But I kind of felt like that kid was kind of like a Loki to the little girl's Thor. Because like he was causing mischief, and he had that obnoxious laugh, and he was like laughing so hard at like inappropriate things all the time. Like
I
he
think
just come
that's
in there with
insulting
his
to Loki. I think this is like me last week trying to be like, there's a Robin Hood theme
no.
in the
I
Dukes
still
of
want to get back to
Hazzard.
that.
Like,
I still want to get back to that because it is. I do feel that there is sort of a southern feeling that they are Robin Hood, that they're sort of fighting the man and giving back to themselves. And I find it really gross because what they were fighting was keeping people as slaves. So, like, no, it's not no taxation without representation. Like, this is
yeah,
literally human beings that you are treating as non-human beings. And I can't, like, get over yourselves, the South. That's all I gotta say. Okay.
yeah.
So,
But yeah,
no
no,
see.
I'm shutting down your Loki thing. Like, theory.
All
I don't.
right. All right.
Yeah.
There are so many
I
times when this Chris, this main character, is terrible at her job. She puts the little girl in front of her at one point, like when they have the flat tire.
Oh yeah, and the guys like pulled it up in the truck.
Yeah, with the
Well, but
hook and
she
everything.
got her arms around her.
Yeah, she's still using the little girl like a shield. I don't like it.
But
I feel like
I don't.
that's
Yeah,
not.
I don't know. Can
So,
we just talk about how like what assholes these kids are?
oh
Like,
yeah, the white
yeah,
privilege is staggering.
like them laughing their asses off when she gets a fucking flat tire on the freeway at night.
Yeah.
Like even the little girl, like
Well, I
not
feel like
dude.
the little girl is excusable because she kind of lives in this fantasy world of Thor. And so I think to her, it's like it's still a fun adventure. She's young enough that she wouldn't think about the danger of it, especially
I
because they're so
guess.
privileged. But everyone
Yeah,
else in that car, like, fuck off.
yeah,
It's not funny. Like, it's stressful. And none of them were wearing seatbelts. So I don't know what
yes.
they
None
were
of them
laughing
were
about. Like,
wearing
they
seatbelts.
should have died so many times in this movie.
So many times, right? The only
And it
time she
would
tells
have,
one of them to put a seatbelt on is when she's pissed off and
exactly.
like trying to pretend like she's actually in control of the situation that is so
Right.
fucking out of control.
So bad. So
Yeah.
here's the thing I was kind of thinking about.
Okay.
What's the friend's name? So the pretense
Brenda.
is Brenda. They got to go into the city to save Brenda, who took a cab to a bus station. Who the fuck takes a cab? Like what? There are trains everywhere. What is happening? I whatever. And what is happening to Brenda? Like somebody's saying get out of my house and people are laughing at her, right? I mean, there's a guy
Yeah.
literally waving a gun, but he's laughing. And I was thinking about that quote that no one ever tells me who the right person is who said it, but that men are most afraid of women laughing at them and women are most afraid of men killing them. And in this situation, these kids are all men. They're scared of being laughed at because that's the worst thing that happens to them. And that is not reality at all.
Yeah.
And there's so many things about this movie that just made me want to pull them aside and give them actual consequences for the ridiculous choices that they are making throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, like, but back to Brenda, like, because at first it takes a while for you to figure out what city they're in, right? They don't say it until much later in the movie. I think, like, when she's at the frat party or whatever. And she's on the
Well,
phone and she's like,
you're
I've
supposed to
seen
know the
three people.
skyline
Well, yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
and
Excuse
blues.
me. Okay, they got blues in Memphis too, so bite my ass.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
Yeah, and also like the soundtrack for this movie is so all over the goddamn place. Like you
Yeah,
start with oldies, and then you got some 80s shit, and then you got the blues, and then you've got some like band playing new wave-ish, like
a
I
random
don't know
Rolling
what,
Stones
and then you
song.
have oldies again playing at the very end. It's like what the hell is even going on? Like I don't
Yeah,
know. Anyways, but yeah, she's like, I saw three people shooting up a bald Chinese woman with no pants and a man with a gun. And it's just like, what is happening in this? Where are they? You give me the cash, I'll give you the wiener. No cash, no wiener.
I totally forgot about the rat.
I didn't. I remember all the Brenda stuff. And like, I
Mainly
love
what I
how they
forgot
had
were those
TVs at the
earrings.
bus stations. You could like sit and watch your own little TV at the
Oh
bus
yeah,
station. Like, that
yeah.
was crazy. And then if you read the light up sign, apparently there was like a pancake restaurant in there too. I bet it was fucking delicious.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they were in downtown Chicago, like everywhere. That hot dog was probably delicious that she couldn't take her twice signed over check to
And then
buy.
I bought her some neat press on nails, and then she paid me the difference and signed the check over to me. So I'll sign it over to you.
This whole like white lady story behind this
I know, but
check.
like I want to show my kids that and be like, do y'all understand any of that? Like, do you understand what any of that means?
Like we got the
No.
wiener joke.
Yeah. Like, why don't they just go to an ATM? Like, how do they have no money? We'll flag somebody down and get them to take us to buy a tire.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
that's not.
And then
Geez.
he's all,
But like,
I'm gonna buy your tire. I'm like, nobody does that. Nobody buys you a tire.
but
Like,
then he didn't buy the fucking tire because he shot out their window.
but
Like,
he
and
replaced the window. And when did he replace the window, Ryan? Because he was in the hospital, still trying to beat up the other guy. So when did he have time to
well,
replace the
no, he got
windshield?
Dawson to replace the window. But remember, he's like, I'm gonna buy you a tire. And they're like, oh, that's so nice. And then he takes them on the little express, and then the window gets shut out. He's like, well, I paid for the window, but you got to pay for the tire. Like, dude, you're the one that said you would buy the tire from the beginning.
I just got distracted thinking about Vincent D'Onofrio working on a car. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm back.
I mean, he was hot. I'm not gonna lie. Even with the terrible gold, like blonde wig, like
I don't
he
know
was
how I
a
didn't know that that was a wig when I was a child. And
I'm pretty
also,
sure I
like,
knew that was a wig.
how
Yeah.
badly do you want to cast him when you won't even just hire a blonde guy? It's like, nope, gotta be D'Onofrio.
Well,
Icons 8 Music.
and I want to know, like, was Chicago really that bad in the '80s? And maybe it was. Like,
I didn't visit in the 80s, but I felt like the trash in the alleyways was a bit overdone.
well,
Also,
yeah,
the whole like trash can fire by the river thing, like I don't feel like
yeah.
that's true.
I
It's
don't know.
not like not like the Great Depression. Like I don't know. I can't deal with it.
But I feel like trash can fires in the '80s was like such like that to me. That's iconic of '80s city, grimy city.
I mean,
I
I
don't
guess
know.
I wouldn't doubt it for New York, but I did at one point think that these kids are a lot like Blanche Dubois.
Okay.
Only if they're relying upon the kindness of violent criminals. Like things are just happening to them, and they're like, just rely, kindness of strangers.
So
God,
long jockeys getting run over. That also seems to be a theme of '80s movies and
yes, that
'90s movies.
definitely. Fuck Brenda. I don't know why I ever identified with her. Like I'm sad that I
Well, because she
identified
was,
with her.
yeah, because she was a geek. So I mean, no offense, but
No, but gross.
yeah,
Like I'm so glad
she was pretty
Daria came
terrible.
around.
Yeah, no, Brenda's like really the
So
worst.
in the train, I was afraid it was going to be the Beat It video happening. I wasn't
Okay,
sure.
hold on. Before we even get there, like I have to say, I 100% forgot about them getting in the car with the dude hot wiring it.
Oh, yeah.
And can I just say that Joe Gibb was the best thing about this entire movie.
Yes.
That guy was the best actor,
Yes.
like of anyone who was consistently in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the best, absolutely best. And I feel like it's kind of like a fucking Pretty in Pink where she ends up with the wrong dude at the end. She should have ended up with Joe.
I think that would have made a much more interesting movie. and he was fine as hell. So
Yes,
there's
he
that.
was. Yeah. I looked him up. Not a lot of other acting creds,
Yeah, I know. It's
unfortunately. I
unfortunate.
know.
I have another note. This movie is a buffet of gross-looking white dudes. Feel like that was happening.
Yeah. Very, yes. Very gross looking white dudes.
Vincent D'Onofrio in a bad wig, a really bad wig.
Oh my God. Like, I think I'm a little sad that you let the cat out of the bag so fast, so soon on that. Because to me, that is the other saving grace of this movie, because I didn't know it was him until I like halfway through watching the movie when I start looking up the Joe Gibbs character, then I see his name and I'm like, what the fuck? Vincent D'Onofrio is in this movie and it says Dustin, and it took me a minute and I'm like, oh my God, he's Thor. Like, I wrote it down and circled it very big. Like, what the fuck? Like, Vincent D'Onofrio is the original Thor in
Yeah,
a terrible blonde wig. Like, my
yeah.
mind, it blew my mind. My mind was literally blown. But the subway gang fight, yeah.
I can't. There were all these straight arm lapel holding punches that I just couldn't deal with. Like, I mean, I guess action adventure has gotten to a point now where all of this just looks dumb, but
Yeah.
it just all seemed way, way, way too ridiculous. I did hear someone, I don't know if it was in real life or a podcast, but I heard someone joke that they loved Sarah, the little girl, in the French restaurant because everybody else is going to see like what's happening with the fuck boy and the showdown, and she just like goes to the dessert tray and takes herself
Yeah.
to the toy store.
Yeah.
Peace, don't care.
Yeah. Okay. But can we just, for a second, can we talk about like real life, how much trauma that child actually would have had at the end of all of this?
Oh yeah, no, I will say the part where she was laughing when people were getting shot in the
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
I
And
really
like the
had a
bullet
problem with
came,
that.
like whizzed past them through the
Uh-huh.
window, like they almost
Yeah.
got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they almost got shot. They got held up, whatever, gangsters, not knowing if they were going to die, had to escape by walking on a very thin. I would have died even as a child. There's no way I would have made it across the rafters,
Yeah.
balancing like that. So there's another death scene,
And they
like
didn't
going
even
down
have like
that.
a backstory thing where they're like, remember how we're all in gymnastics together? It's just like, where at
No,
least there would
like
be
she
some kind of
skate.
plausible
I
reason to
roller
think that they
skate in
could
my
do
house,
that.
right? And then like things kind of chill the fuck out for a while. And then she's like getting chased by bad guys and like fucking hanging by her toes and fingers on the window of this gigantic building in downtown Chicago with nothing. Like, are
Right.
you fucking kidding me? Like, that kid has got so much like long term absolute trauma. Like, I'm like, we talk about people having trauma because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, having to stay inside and not see
No, but
people.
like it's literally like even the kid when they go to the hospital, he like complains because he didn't get wounded enough
Right?
in his
Yeah.
quote
One
unquote gang
stitch
fight.
in my only instance of ever being in a gang fight. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like the movie potentially is very realistic of what Chicago maybe was like in 1987. I don't know. I would love to
This
find out.
movie was not realistic to anything ever.
Okay, well, whatever. So,
It's like
and then
somebody
just
took
like,
a bad romantic comedy and then mashed it into a really bad action movie, and they were like, "Yeah, this works." Like, no,
I
it's
mean,
total
and like
garbage.
just, yeah.
And
And like
the reaction times, I could not
yeah.
handle it. I hope you were thinking about Hogwarts because literally it was like somebody would say something and then it would like cut to the other person. There'd be this long pause and then they might like make a face. And I was like, "Is
Diagon
this
Alley.
exactly like this is like a soap opera, except in a soap opera they have to do this because they have to kill
Oh
time."
my God. It was so boring. I'm gonna say it was
They
boring.
could
Like,
have cut. Oh, it was super boring. They could have cut
it
half
was,
an hour if they had just
yeah.
re-edited it to not have all these dumb reaction shots that meant nothing. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot with
And like,
this.
I mean, I really feel like you could have cut at least two of the like shenanigans scenes that they got into. Like, there's so many. There's so many fucking
I mean,
shenanigans scenes. And I
maybe
get
it would
that.
be believable. if there
Yeah.
weren't so much going
And
on.
like, I'm sorry, but can we just talk about this white dude being like, oh, I love the blues scenes of Chicago? Like, who is like, oh yeah, they should go into a blues club and have to sing the blues to get out. And yeah, the whole crowd of black blues loving people are gonna be into it. These poor fucking white kids from the suburbs being like, so
I mean,
hard.
I don't know what would have really happened, but it would not have been that.
No, it would not
That's all
have
I
been
know
that.
about that
Like,
scene. It would not have been that. Like it.
and I'm really sad we had to watch the dubbed version, because then that made me think about all the dubbed versions of things we had to watch and how stupid it was to dub them because we knew what people were really saying. Except I
This
did have
movie.
to look it up because I couldn't remember what he was actually calling Thor.
Oh yeah,
What?
you can tell by his mouth.
Yeah, but like I couldn't remember. Like I was like, I know it's something that means gay, but it's not a word people use anymore.
Right.
And so I had to look it up. And apparently the writer has said that it really breaks his heart now than when he watches it, or like to know that they use that language. So
That's what breaks his heart.
I don't know if it's the only thing. It's just one of the things that I saw that he was like,
Alright.
I'm heartbroken about this.
Okay.
But
All right.
yeah,
Here's what I like. Here's some things I love though. We got some clueless 80s parents going on. Classic
yes,
clueless 80s parents. That
yes.
whole cocktail party looked like a Dillard's department store. Like I
Oh my
could
God,
not
it looked like
handle
the
it.
most boring party ever. And then the mom
Yes.
confirms it. She's like, this is the most exciting thing that happened all night when the guy falls
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. And then she goes, of course, my diet doesn't start till next
No
week.
man.
I'm like, like
Yeah.
great. We have diets. We have
Yes.
zits. We have the 80s obsession with looks. Like, I'm
Mm.
surprised we don't have any fat jokes, but there weren't any overweight people. So what are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Well, that's true.
I do.
Well, that one gangster guy was kind of fat, but not too. Yeah.
I don't
Go
like
ahead.
the white guy running all the other gangsters. It would have been cool if there had been like a subplot where like Joe Gipp like takes over and is like, I'm stealing the Philadelphia operation, and then like
I want
he
to
and
see part
Chris
two.
run
Yeah.
off and like
I want to see the
because
sequel where she starts dating Pretty Eyes and but is torn by Joe, and like she loves Joe, and then she chooses a life of crime in Philadelphia, running the Philadelphia chop shop.
and then when it was the end or near the end, and she's like, I'm 17 and that kid Brad is 15. All I could think about was the John Mulaney joke about letting a slightly older dog watch your younger dogs. Or horse or whatever it is. Like he had
Babysitting his
no
fucking
business
sister.
watching those children. Like the only difference was she had a driver's license. Like that was the only difference between her and those kids. Like,
Well, and then she's like, who's this? And I'm like, don't they all go to the same high school? Like, how does she not know who this Daryl kid is? Because he seems really fucking annoying, and like you'd know who he is. Like,
oh yeah, well if she's like babysitting them as much as she said, there's no way she doesn't know who that kid is. Like,
yeah, right.
if you want to try to talk about like plot holes, there's not enough time in the world. Like,
oh my God,
the whole movie is a plot hole. I can't even deal with it.
I'm sad. Like, I was excited to rewatch this movie.
Yeah, like it'll be fun.
Yeah, like, oh, I love this movie when I was like, I loved it so much, and I've seen it so many times. Like, I remembered a lot of things, and I will never watch that movie again. Like,
Oh God, no.
I won't ever. It was so boring. I was so bored.
But I know we watched it more than once as children.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, I even watched it like later on in life, I'm pretty sure. Like, not like recently, but like maybe like middle school or some shit,
Wasted so much time.
So much time.
Can't deal with it.
But like, what else would we have been doing? Like,
Go into space camp.
who was paying for that?
Learning
was
science. Going
from
to the
our
library.
encyclopedia set that Dad bought from the door-to-door salesman and made
Heck
us do
yeah.
fucking reports on.
Okay. Can we agree next week to at least watch something that we think has some artistic merit still? Like, or will be fun?
Hold on. Three's Company was good. I would go back and watch some more Three's Company.
But you're not gonna go waste more time on Three's Company. Shut up.
No, I'm
There's so
not.
much
But
TV now.
yeah, no,
No.
but like I recommend, like, I have that student who was like, let's watch 21 Jump Street, and she fucking loves it. Like, she's like, I go home and watch it all the time. So I was like, you should watch Three's Company. Like, I was recommending it to her, but I will not recommend Adventures in Babysitting. I'll be like, no, don't do it. It's bad.
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Mannequin. Hey, thank
No.
you.
Oh, are we
What?
done?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can keep talking, but we should
No.
probably
Oh yeah.
wrap it up.
I
It's
think it was
okay.
bad.
It can be a short
I'm
one.
glad we both think it was bad. What do we think? Why did we think it was bad? Like, because the movie just wasn't that good.
It was unrealistic. It was a hot mess. Those
Yeah.
kids were so privileged. It was
Yeah.
disgusting. Joe Gipp, underutilized.
Totally.
We can't even talk about how things don't make sense. What really would
Oh
have
my
gone down.
God! I completely forgot that moment when the fuck boy, when he was like, okay, this was a moment I had a jaw drop when he was like, good luck with that. Her legs are so, like, they're locked at the knees. Like, her
Yeah.
legs are so tight, they're locked at the knees. I was like literally like, oh my God. Like, it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
a jaw dropping
Do you
moment for
not
me.
remember the 80s?
I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, like, there's a Playboy throughout the whole fucking movie, like, which how we haven't talked about that yet. Like,
I don't even feel
everyone
like it's
keeps
worth talking
thinking
about.
she's this like Playboy centerfold, right?
It feels
Yeah.
like three.
Also,
Maybe it was
Miss
5
Mobster's
different.
like, let me write out my whole plan on this Playboy centerfold. Like, these are really important plans about this deal. Like, you didn't have a piece of paper nearby?
To me, Bradley Whitford will always be what's his name from The West Wing.
No, I know. Like, I know. Yeah.
I can't deal with him being anybody else, and I can't deal with that being his real car. That just makes my heart hurt. Oh, I did want to say something about there. Someone put a lot of effort into this name, and I feel like I want to give them credit for it. The girl that's at the French restaurant with Fuckboy,
Oh, she had a name.
Sesame Plexor. Sesame, first name. Plexor, last name. Why?
I don't know. Like, another little fun fact I read is that one of the movies that Christopher Columbus told him to watch to get ready to, like, prepare was Arsenic and Old Lace.
Well, that explains the timing. That kid is the grandkid of Jackie Coogan.
I knew the name Coogan, like, rang a bell.
Yeah.
Who's Jackie Coogan? What did Jackie Coogan do?
He was I think he might have been, no, maybe that was Fatty Arbuckle. Maybe he was non-problematic. He was the comedian back in the black and
Do you
white
know what
days.
happened to Fatty Arbuckle? Do you know what the fall of Fatty Arbuckle was?
Hot tub?
Oh, he had a party. Like, he had like a big lavish party because he partied like someone at the time did, and a girl died, and nobody really knows what happened. But yeah, like, he kind
No,
of
I know.
got,
They
like,
think he killed her.
yeah, and so that kind of brought down his whole career, and he, like, died in absolute poverty.
No, I knew that. I thought you were talking about like
Oh.
what actually killed him. Like
Oh no.
it
Like,
was a heart
brought him.
attack. This is not a film
This
history
is
podcast. This is not a celebrity podcast. This
No,
is
it's
not a
not.
true crime podcast.
It might not even be a very good podcast at this
Is this
point.
a podcast? It may not even be a
It's
podcast.
something. Yeah, I'm glad you turned the recording back on. We got some bangers.
A couple of jokes
Some hits
for the comedy podcast.
This is not a comedy podcast. Oh yeah.
They're like a bored sister category. That's this podcast, the bored
sisters that need a reason to talk to each other.
Yeah, this is it. Other people just schedule a family call. We have to record a fucking podcast to be able to talk to each other. All right.
Glad we decided to wait for our third one. Needs to be a banger.
Here's what I'll say. Do you want to do Shag or do you want to do Mannequin or Labyrinth? Oh, what a face.
Puppets.
Oh yeah. Y'all, Ryan has
I only ever watched it. I have puppet anxiety. I don't have puppet fear. I have puppet anxiety.
a phobia.
It's a phobia, I guess. Whatever. Like I'm not like puppets.
Also,
No.
I remember you making jokes about Smell Bad, so I know you enjoyed that movie.
I made a joke the other day because my classroom's outside the stinky boys' bathroom, and they said, "What did they call me?" Oh my god, my kids called me something. Like something happened. Like they put a mirror up in the boys' bathroom, and they made it sound like I had something to do with it. And it was like
Look at
the guard.
yourselves.
I know, like because I was guarding it, like, and I can't remember. They were like, "You're the guard of the guardian of the bathroom." And I was like, "I'm the guardian of the bog of eternal stench. That's what I'm the guardian." Because it either smells like piss or it smells like pot. Like one or the other. Like I am the guardian of nothing. Like,
Hey, teenage boys, if you're listening, can I tell you something? You're
just
gross.
stop.
Just
Yeah.
quit
Like,
it.
don't.
Quit being gross. You
Yeah.
can control it. You don't have to do it. Don't give in. Fight it.
Definitely.
Fight it with all your little.
We're watching Mannequin.
All right, let's close it out.
All right. Well, good night. I love you, but no.
I gotta go.
I did tell some of my kids about the podcast this week, and they're really excited.
Oh God.
They were like, "I'll listen to it," and I was like, "Oh, well, I don't know about that, but."
Just tell them to like, follow, and subscribe. They don't even have to listen to it. They just have to do that.
I mean, what they're going to do is they're going to listen to it during my class when they're supposed to be doing work. So it's fine. That's
Should we start talking about history on the podcast so that you can get some lessons in?
We slip in like a government lesson every week.
Here's some quick civics.
Yeah, like showing some current events that like relates to like, did you see what the Senate was doing this week? And that will really have an effect on the upcoming generations because, and now back to our random bullshit.
So this is not a geography podcast, but now it's suddenly an AP government podcast, y'all. Sorry. You ready? Thank you. That is it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss Mannequin. For now, we want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram at I Love You But Pod and on Twitter at I Love You Pod. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And what should we talk about in future episodes? Tell us on social and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Heather. And
I'm Ryan, and we send you lots of conditional love.